Hi and welcome. This is recording highlights from Ignite 2018. My name is Johan, and with me I have Mr.
Mikael.
So we were kind of sad that the conference was over, so we decided to record a bunch of highlight videos or our highlights from Ignite. And you and me, Michael, we had to spend a lot of hours, long hours in the booths, in the Ask the Experts area, answering questions from like a stream of people constantly coming in all the time.
Which is the part that I really enjoy and like, because you really have the ability to communicate, ask, and do things like that.
The only thing I kind of didn't enjoy it was my voice after like Thursday, like.
Yeah, I remember that because we had a session on Thursday and I woke up on Thursday morning and said, I can't speak. That was horrible.
Other than that, it was great.
Yes.
So tell me, Michael, what was one of the common questions you got when
one
you were
of the
in
common
booth?
questions, well, we had a bunch of them, but a question that popped up kind of hidden is the are we forced to move to Windows AutoPilot? Is config manager going to die? Is MBAM going to die? Is MDT going to die? Is Windows Server going to die? Is on-prem going to die? It's a lot of, is this going to die? And my general answer is no, it's not really dying. What you need to think of is that this is what we have today, and they are adding something new. And the something new is pretty cool, and it can be used in various scenarios, but it doesn't automatically replace everything because it's new. And I think somebody said, just because we add in Windows Admin Center doesn't mean that the MMC console goes away. Okay, but you will transfer everything from the MMC console to the Windows Admin Center? It took us 15 years to do everything in the MMC console, and Windows Admin Center has been out for a year. No, we're not going to transfer everything, but eventually the MMC console won't be needed because there will be other ways to do things. So the panic of moving from one to another isn't there. It doesn't exist. No, it's not really dying. It's just transforming. So that was one question.
So I know you tied into AutoPilot a little bit before, and I got a bunch of questions on that as well. The thing is, deployment is not there. Even with AutoPilot, which is actually not deployment, it's a way to put a machine under management somehow. And somebody still needs to apply Windows to the box in the first place, because without Windows, it's going to be pretty tricky for AutoPilot to kick in and do its things. So it's either going to be you, or it's going to be the OEM, or it's going to be one of the service partners that helps the OEM, like an outsourcing provider, etc.
And it doesn't really solve the problem with my operating system was busted, because the only way to fix this is to do a restore of the machine. But you can't really do that if the hard drive is broken. Well, a restore really doesn't help in that scenario. So deployment doesn't die, but it's changing the behavior. Instead of doing these super advanced task sequences that you and I do, maybe the task sequence will look like it's installing Windows, and that's pretty much it.
Then the device done.
Yeah, and then everything else does it the way it's going to do. So yes, we got that question.
And the thing is, another very common question was, okay, how do we deal with feature updates? Windows 10, even though they extended the servicing to 30 months for the fall releases, you still need to service it at some point. And that means currently the best way to do that is to use sequences. And we demonstrated a bunch of different solutions during Ignite on how you can work with sequences this way. But the bottom line is that scenario actually requires some on-premise infrastructure.
Yes, it does. You need to have a config manager server to make it remotely and make it nice. You need to have a cloud management gateway. You need to have a cloud MP. Otherwise, that doesn't work.
But cloud MP, that is actually
okay.
Cloud management gateway.
So you need to have all that stuff. The client needs to be able to communicate back. They added the ability to run task sequences on the internet, but the machine really needs to be able to communicate back all the time. And it works. And that was a question that I had also a lot of. Can I use the the plans they have in Config Manager. Can I use Windows Update for Business? Can I use WSUS to do that? Can we run just Windows Update? And the answer is kind of. Our customers, most of them, they use task sequences for one single reason, and it puts them in a control mode. I control when, how, if, then, but I can do all that. So if you're used to control and you like that, then you would like to have task sequences. I think that in the future, the built-in mechanism to do a feature update will be better because they are improving it. For every version of Windows 10, it gets slightly better.
So then we have a special type of questions that came in, like 30, 40 of them or so, licensing question. And I just threw my hands in the air and said, I have absolutely no idea.
Yeah, well, I got one question that was particularly interesting. Somebody said, now when we have Microsoft 365, yes, then we have Windows 10 and Office. Is Windows 10 now licensed per user? No. Windows 10 is licensed per device. But Office is licensed per user. Yes, it is. Office is licensed per user. But it could be licensed per device as well, because you can use token-based authentication or access token-based activations for that. But now Windows is not, just because it shows up in the portal, but doesn't mean it's per user. It doesn't mean that every user is now allowed to install number of Windows 10 devices. It's per device, and Office is still per user. So even if they combine it, it's still that way.
I'm typically working with clients, that's my main thing, but you have a sort of a sidetrack in our business, and you like to walk around and build data centers every now and then.
Yes.
Once a month.
Yes.
So what do you like in terms of Server 2019 features that was announced on Ignite? That you can only pick like 3.
Okay. So one of them is that I know the team has spent so much time on Storage Spaces Direct. And the focus there, because we had one guy asking about this and he said, I really like the fact that you're adding a lot of features to Storage Spaces Direct, but I really like that you spend most of the time making it rock solid. And the answer from Cosmos Darwin, which is one of the PMs, is that that's exactly what we did. About 80-90% of all the work we've done has just to do with one single thing, and that's reliability.
But I heard somewhere you can scale down now a little bit in the number of nodes.
Yes, you can, because it used to be possible in 16 to run a 2-node cluster, but it also means that if you're running a 2-node cluster, you can either lose a node or lose a disk. In 19, you can lose a disk and a node at the same time, and it still works. And you use, another thing they support is the ability to, you need to have it's a 2-node cluster, therefore you need to have a vote, therefore you need to have the quorum. Yes, okay. Yeah. And now that can be put in any router basically that has the ability to create a file share. So you put a USB stick, thumb drive in a router, and you can use that. I tried it, it actually works. Which makes it now possible to build really small Storage Spaces Direct solutions at offices, and then you can run a workload on top of that.
2 more.
Okay, one more is the performance in Storage Spaces Direct. I'm sorry, but the number of IOPS they were cramming out of this system is that they compared last year, they did get like 6 million IOPS, 6 million something, and that was on a 16-node cluster. This year they were doing
the record was
13 million IOPS out of a 12-node cluster. One of the reasons is that they now have a new type of memory called storage class memory, which is basically a memory DIMM, and you just define. Well, yeah, you just define that this amount of this part of the memory is storage and this part is memory. And the DIMM modules are up in the size of 512 gigabyte. And that means that NVMe is really cool compared to using storage class memory. Nice. Not even close. And the third part that is really cool is the new web client the web client, the remote desktop host system. They are increasing performance, reliability, pixel resolution, and they're also adding a web client. It's not a full client, but it means that you really only need a browser to access a remote desktop application, which is pretty cool.
So, speaking of remote desktop, I mean, it's pretty nice now, is it not?
They did. They are announcing a new feature, and it's going to be available in Azure very, very soon with the ability to run desktop on top of remote desktop. It's the Windows desktop infrastructure something. They changed the name, I think, 4 times.
Sounds very shiny though.
It's very shiny, which basically means that you can now run applications, and you could do that before. But there was a bunch of applications that didn't work. You could use OneDrive for Business. You couldn't use Office, click to run, it didn't work. And all that stuff suddenly starts working. So yes, that's pretty neat. So they're adding a lot of features for that. And why? Why is that not a dead technology? Because that's one of the ways to move legacy application that can't really be converted into the AppX model thing, but that means we can put them as a lightweight application, and that means that we can now do funny things with the client. The client doesn't need application, and suddenly AutoPilot starts working great because there's no apps to install. It either is a thin app, or it's a click-to-run application, or it is a remote application, which means that if you need to deploy 50 remote applications, it's going to be 50 URLs. That's pretty much it.
So, in addition to that, me and Mikael, we did some presentations also at the Ignite. We had a breakout session on Thursday, the expert level Windows 10 deployment.
That was a fun session.
Yeah, like 1,000 or 2 people in the room. We had a big theater room.
Friends, all of them.
The session code is BRK 4028, and 40 obviously meaning it's a 400 level session.
Yes.
But the recordings are available, so if you didn't have a chance to catch it, I'm pretty sure we have a link right here down where you can see the recording.
Yes.
And we also did a session on, today.
We did.
Friday. It was the deployment yesterday. And Mikael, would you tell me please who was the winner?
I have no recollection of that, but I think the guy was it you? Maybe it was you.
Me.
Yes.
Indeed it was.
Yes.
I was very happy. It was tough. It was to the bitter end.
It was to the bitter end.
Me and Amy challenging each other.
Yeah.
Jeremy Chapman doing the sort of.
Yeah, that was a
moderator
blast.
role.
That was a blast.
So funny.
Yeah.
And we had a ton of people attending. We actually have a
Yeah, it was
picture
crazy.
Right here from that scene.
You know,
So
when I woke up there, I thought, why are all these people sitting here? It's because the last session was really good, and they are relaxing and waiting to leave. Turns out that nobody was leaving, but there was adding more people, and I'm like, really? I thought it was supposed to be like 50 or 100 people, closest friend or something like that. No, wasn't.
That was a blast.
That was full. That was
cool. Thank you so much for watching this video. Check out our other highlights. You can subscribe right here below. And Mr. Mikael, thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.